Hello my loyal companions, welcome back to the channel and to another episode of Rogue Revealed, the series where I take you through everything you need to know about Rogue Company. And in today's video I'm going to be showing you Talon. Over the next few days I'm going to be trying to get out the last few of these character reveals and character guides for you so I can give you a tier list by the end of the week. So if you are interested in seeing the rest of that content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. As for now, let's get into the video. As always, I'm going to be going over his role within the game, his different weapons, abilities and perks, then looking at upgrading him before finally giving you some tips to play him most effectively. Talon is a very good rogue, very good in competitive play and very good for either attack or defense. He has a lot of utility within his kit as long as two very good weapons that can help him both at short range and long range depending on what you choose, and he's just got a lot of adaptability and versatility for a team. His main ability, the sensor dart, is fantastic at giving location and information to your team. Is only countered by one thing, and that is Ronin. This is due to her passive, but other than that, everyone can be seen on this dart, and it's a very, very strong tool. His passive is also very useful, but we'll get into that in a second. Overall, Talon is a good rogue, and he's very easy to get into and start playing. His mechanics are, as most of the rogues, fairly easy to sort of understand, but then as you learn him and you get a lot better with him, his potential is amazing in the higher level play. Looking at Talon within game, once an infamous enforcer in the Japanese underworld, Talon has switched sides and now works for Rogue Company. He actually says at the start of the round, he says, "You rogues are lucky to have me, I could have been on the other side," showing that he was once this kind of bad guy in the Japanese underworld, but now he fights for Rogue Company. His passive is Mag Gloves, which picks up and reclaims items from range. This includes grenades, weapons, and the bomb if you're on attacking side. He can pick it up from range as long as it's in your eyesight. You can use the hold X ability or whatever your keybind is to bring this to you from range. His main ability is Radar Dart, which you equip a radar dart, then when thrown, attach it to surfaces which detect enemies in your nearby area on the radar. So basically you throw it out and then it has a radius that it reveals enemies in. They come up as red dots on the minimap, and they're a consistent red dot, so they don't move, they don't jolt like in waves. You see them basically consistently throughout, and it's very useful. Your team can see it as well. The radar can be destroyed, but it's quite hard to see, and the radar dart can be reclaimed using your Mag Glove ability as well. Now going into his weapons, his first one is the LMPX, arguably the best SMG in the game. It's a controllable and silenced submachine gun. As you upgrade it, you increase its magazine size from 30 to 40, then you increase its damage range, then you increase its aim down sight accuracy. His other primary weapon is the D3DI, a DMR, single shot semi-automatic rifle. This is very, very good as well. As you upgrade it, you increase its magazine size from 12 to 16, then increase its hip fire accuracy while reducing its reticle bloom, then finally you suppress its fire and reduce its recoil, meaning Talon can be this kind of stealthy guy with these two suppressed weapons. His pistol though is the P12K, is a compact silence pistol. Again, this silence theme is very apparent in Talon. That kind of goes into his playstyle a little bit. As you upgrade this, you increase its hipfire accuracy and reduce reticle bloom, and then you increase its magazine size from 7 to 12. His melee weapon is the Katana, is a razor sharp melee weapon, increases throw damage, and then you increase its swing damage as well. His two gadgets are the C4 firstly, a plastic explosive device that can be detonated remotely. This increases its throw distance when upgraded and then increases its damage to 150. His other gadget is the Flashbang, a grenade that temporarily blinds anyone within its blast radius. As you upgrade it, you increase its throw distance and then you increase its grenade count by 1, so you can hold 2 of them. Moving on to his perks, this is actually kind of where Talon feels a bit lackluster to me, but his first perk is Shredder Rounds, which deals more damage to equipment and means you can carry more ammunition. Then we have Padded Steps, which silences the sound of his footsteps when not sprinting. Then you have Tenacity, which means you take reduced damage from explosives. Then you have Nimble Hands, which increases your weapon swap and reload speed. Then his two big perks are Sixth Sense, get notified when an enemy within 25 meters is looking in your direction or at you. And then Life Drain, which when downing an enemy heals you for a significant amount over a short duration. In terms of ranking these perks, for me and my playstyle, currently Life Drain is going to be at the top for those, then probably Nimble Hands, then Tenacity, just because I like being able to avoid explosives. Now that my skill-based matchmaking has got a little bit higher, you tend to find people are using gadgets and explosives a lot more, so this can be useful. Then I would say Padded Steps is useful, then I would look at Sixth Sense, and then finally Shredder Rounds. As we move into upgrading Talon, on the first round you can either fully upgrade the pistol. It is useful, although I would say it's not super necessary. Talon doesn't rely on a secondary weapon very much, unlike Phantom who does. It's the same pistol. It's useful for her to upgrade it because she does rely on it a bit. Talon not so much. But so what I do is I tend to first round buy a flashbang. The reason for this is just because the utility is so good. It helps with his playstyle with the stealthy mechanics. It means if you do get held or you do need to push around a corner that you're not sure if someone's there, you can flash it first just to be confident. Your only other option I would really say is you could get padded steps if you knew you were going for a heavy flank off the bat. As you then move into the later rounds, you have to decide which primary weapon you want. If you're going for a very aggressive flanking or just close range fight, you need to be looking at the SMG, the LMPX. Very, very good SMG and definitely worth getting. If you know you're going to be holding range and longer angles, then look at the DMR. Again, a very good DMR. I'd say both of his weapons are very good, and it kind of depends on your playstyle, what you prefer. Personally, it kind of depends. I more often than not go the DMR, but that's just because I play him normally in coordinated team comps where I allow myself to be that more ranged person so my other teammates can play different roles that we need. The LMPX though is very, very good, and I'll use it depending on the map. I don't tend to bother upgrading the pistol, as I said, and the katana I don't use. It's not really worth the money for me. And the C4 I don't like particularly. I know people who do, and it can be viable, so it's up to you in terms of whether you want the flash to then move aggressively if you're confident with your shot, or if you just want to clear a corner with a C4, you can get that as well. It's really up to you. As you then move into the later rounds, my main focus, honestly, would be to spend the money on upgrading the weapons as soon as possible. The reason for this is because his perks don't offer a lot for you. They're not amazing perks to help him with his kit. He's more weapon focused. Therefore, upgrading them, putting all the money into the upgrades quickly is worth it. After then, you should be looking at getting any perks you can based on the tier list that I suggested a moment ago. Moving on to my tips for Talon, I'm going to give you the first two surrounding his dart, and the first one is going to be ensure that you have the dart down when you're in the middle of a big team fight, so there are multiple people on your team fighting multiple people of their team. The reason this is useful is because it helps you know when teams have repositioned or remaneuvered, and it kind of keeps your team all focused about where enemies might be. You do have to make sure you're careful of the flank though, and that leads on to tip 2, and that is to throw your dart in a place where a flanking position could come. You can, however, as we did in Rogue Bowl, dart one bomb site, leave it, and then focus on a mid to the other bomb site push and hold. The reason you can do this is because then you know if the enemy have switched and they have gone to the other bomb site, you've got your dart there to reveal them straight off the bat, and you can then re-rotate from there. It gives you that information that you wouldn't normally get. This can be really useful, but obviously you're not using your dart aggressively, you're using it defensively, and it's kind of up to you. You need to decide whether you want to be using it aggressively, and this is what I would suggest if you are using the LMPX. If you're using the DMR, perhaps use it a bit more defensively, guard your flank, guard your team's flank, and use it that way. They're your sort of two tips, the two ways you can play the dart, so think about it carefully. My next tip for you is going to ensure that you use his passive. His passive is really good, and people don't use it enough. You can use it to swap weapons. Instead of reloading, if you know someone's about to push you and you've killed someone nearby, quickly pick up the weapon. Or, as I've seen it most likely use it to pick up a grenade or some sort of gadget or utility. This can be really clutch, and I've seen in Rogue Ball my teammate Wallamak, he absolutely clutched out by picking up a grenade and then winning a 1v3 because of it. So make sure you are being aware that you have this ability. It is really useful to use, and you should be doing it. It is especially useful for getting the bomb back if your team has dropped it and you're in an uneven scenario where you might be in a bit of danger. Make sure that you are using this to grab the bomb and then re-rotate to the other bomb site. It can get you out of a clutch position really nicely. My fourth tip for you is to play the map in a way that suits your gun best. At the start, basically round 2, when you can buy your gun, you need to make that choice of whether you're going this longer range route or this shorter range route, and you need to then play the map accordingly. You need to be really aware of your surroundings, really aware of where enemies may push, what the different flank options are, and how the map works to use this most effectively. This is most common that you need to know if you're using the DMR, because you need to know these longer lines of sight and also be aware of your flank. Whereas if you have the SMG, you can play a bit more aggressively, go up in their faces a little bit, and trust that your team have your back rather than having to rely on having their back yourself. My last tip for you is when you're playing Talon in public matches as opposed to coordinated team play, don't trust that your team have seen the dart. This is a trap that I've fallen into many times. People don't often look at the minimap, even if they have a Talon. People aren't familiar enough with the game to know that that means that they have this big reveal area that they can see. People aren't really looking, so don't rely on your team to have seen it. Ping if you have to, ping if it makes sense, and you need to make someone aware of a situation. Maybe someone's gone on their flank, you see it on the dart, but they don't. Ping it so that they know, and just make sure that you're comfortable knowing that your team kind of may not know what they're doing. The other thing to remember, because Ronin's passive means she's off the minimap, she will not come up on your radar dart. She is the biggest counter to Talon just because of that thing alone, so you need to be careful. Just watch, make sure you know if there is a Ronin. Just because you have your dart on a flank doesn't mean that she's not flanking. You want to get eyes on Ronin, make sure your team get eyes on Ronin ASAP so that you know where she is on the map. Okay then guys, that is the end of the video. Talon is a fantastic rogue and I hope this has shown you a little bit more about how he works and how you can use him a bit more effectively. He is fantastic in coordinated play and is almost a must for any team comp, so do look at picking him up if you are potentially going into the next Rogue Bowl or any sort of team play where it gets a little bit competitive. If you did enjoy the video though guys, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel and I do appreciate all the support. You can also come follow me on twitch.tv/radbargaming to see live game commentaries and come ask me questions about different elements of the game. Other than that guys, I hope you have a fantastic day and remember, be loyal, be brave, be relentless. And I'll see you in the next video.